Hello, thank you for joining me as I take a slow moment out of the day. And a nice deep breath to go with it. It's a beautiful choice to make, to take that breath, to clear the mind, as they say, to let the body be mind for a moment. Body, mind. I was saying something else about choice in the last video. Now that we are given advice sometimes, it seems to come from people who have determined the hallmarks of success somehow. And somehow are not always able to demonstrate it. Anyway. To make the choice to be happy, to make the choice to be content, without any real information about how to actually remove the obsessions that drag us into anxiety and anguish. Seems to me to be advice that is a little empty. And I explained in the last video that choosing contentment is really about making a choice in terms of your relationship with now, with the instantaneous now, and using all your senses to be fully immersed and curious about the passing moment. So really, kind of contentment that people are referring to when they say choose happiness is really about giving yourself a moment of absence away from your worries, and that can be as simple as stopping and smelling the roses, as they say, finding the beauty in everything and being genuinely interested in the world and others, because then you are interesting. But there is a way to go directly. So when people say, choose happiness, you must choose a positive mindset, or however they wish to describe it, there is a way to go directly. And it is referred to as going directly, if you're asking me. And the best way to conceive this, I don't know how much I can say right now about practice as such, but the best way to conceive this is to understand that with the power of the imagination, our greatest gap-filling tool we have that does everything from rendering the world to the managing the minutiae, the micro elements of our own narrative, in which self is the main character. Our imagination delivers to us items. Certainly, the apple we eat at lunch is an item. A very small part of it is rendered by the imagination, because we have to know that it's edible. We have learnt at some point that we can eat it. And we used our imagination in part to reinforce that understanding. And our lesson, our apple lesson, still lives within our imagination. So it's very hard to exclude the imagination from our experience. It's a great word. But the imagination brings everything into categories, or it helps us to do that. It's the tool that defines, so that we can then categorize, and we can place these items into an understanding, into a story, into a narrative. A beautiful narrative, really, full of tragedy and hope, hopefully, and joy as well, hopefully. A spectrum of those items, a selection of those items, might be known as feelings, might be known as emotions. They are feeling items, just like our thoughts. Our thoughts are items, thoughts that linger, sometimes unpleasantly, thoughts that loop and seem to go nowhere. Are placed with the assistance of the imagination, into a category. Now we can go directly to those items. And it's easy enough if we wish to conceive an apple in our imagination. We can picture that almost instantaneously. We can go directly to the image apple. When we are riled and challenged, we can go almost as quickly to anger. In many instances, it arises in us in a way that suggests it is instantaneous. That can be challenging. But we can also go directly to happiness, to contentment. But once again, the advice given that simply states, choose happiness, needs some qualifying. It needs some how-to attached to it, I believe, for it to be meaningful. So, the demystifying part of what I am describing right now is to be aware of the items. Begin to develop an appreciation of the imagination and its ability to make things substantial in our awareness. We can do that in simple ways. We can conceive an image of an apple. We can do that. We can appreciate the instantaneous flaring up of anger as those hormones kick into action, maybe in terms of what someone does in traffic or whatever it might be. Our anger can be very sensitive. And we can begin a conversation with self. And we can say, That's a powerfully defined item that I am selecting right now. Let's say it is anger. That is a very powerfully defined emotion emerging in my awareness right now. We feel many other things too that don't quite hit us as hard, but they can be also very powerfully defined. And if we can develop a sense of their itemization, if we can understand a little bit that an apple held in our hand that has weight and we can sense, in the imagination is just as real as something that we might visualize or conceive in our mind's eye. And so it is with our emotions. So the next time somebody says to you, a hallmark of success is that you must choose contentment. You must choose happiness. Say to yourself, I can go directly if I have developed a true understanding of how it is that the world is itemized, is broken into little parts, then maybe I can move my attention to a different item. And maybe that item can be happiness. It takes a little practice. But it can be a way to go very quickly into a deep calm.